Welcome to Speak of Africa, our show. We have a whole lot of news for you today. There's a lot of news breaking out in Africa. A whole lot of news, and we're going to share this news, and we're going to tell you the story behind the news. What we do, we watch all the TV channels, we read the newspapers, then we look at the topics that are trending in Africa. The most current issue in Africa remains violence. Democracy is failing. People feel they have to take the law into their own hands. When democracy fails, what happens to citizens? A lot of chaos. And that's the story of the show of today. For the show of today, I want us to start straight. Let's go to Nigeria. In Nigeria, the biggest news is Fela Kuti received a lifetime award from the Grammys. This is a salutary achievement. When we were in secondary school, we used to really love Fela Kuti a whole lot. In fact, the first song I discovered by Fela Kuti was called Fogo Fogo. After that, we had Confusion, Lady, and other songs. Then later on, I learned about Army Arrangement, Beast of No Nation, and so many other songs. We saw that this guy was really an artist, was a great artist, because he had a different kind of music. We don't want to talk much about Fela's story, the way he started, but we understand he went to England to study medicine and decided to switch to music. Then he returned home and started, and he had a unique style. When he was singing in Yoruba, a lot of people did not really know him, but when he started singing in Pidgin, he was able to capture the entire West Africa. People would leave many countries in Africa to Nigeria, they used to call the shrine, where he staged his show. People, or even Emmanuel Macron, the president of France today, remembers visiting Fela's shrine. So this award may be long in coming, but we think it is salutary anyway. When people acknowledge him, because when you look at what is happening, this is a form of post-mortem acknowledgement. Fela died, I think, in 1997. So many years later, they are recognizing his influence on music today. When you look at young artists such as Davido and the others, these are all guys who have been influenced by Fela's music, because this music is timeless. And Fela had timeless music. Even today, I enjoy playing his music. And in fact, I've even surprised some Yoruba guys. They could not believe some of the songs I knew that they did not know. So this is really good news when they celebrate one of our hours. And why are we happy with the celebration of Fela? Is because Fela was not just an artist. He was also a political activist. In fact, some people heard about his political activism before his music. That's an interesting fact. Fela was always having issues with the Nigerian army. You know, the army took over Nigeria for so many years. Fela composed a lot of songs against the army. When you look at a song like Army Arrangement, Obasanjo, talking about Obasanjo, the way they connive with politicians to destroy Nigeria. So when you look at the facts, whatever Fela was saying many, many years ago is still happening today. The poor people in Nigeria are still suffering. Things have not changed. Even with the arrival of Bola Tinubu, Nigerians are still having difficulties. Bola Tinubu's policies have not really made life better for Nigerians. That's what Nigerians are saying. And of course, this week we saw a picture of Bola Tinubu in Turkey. Erdogan was walking with him, and Bola Tinubu collapsed. So how many times is this guy going to fall? So take a look at the picture of Bola Tinubu. Take a look at the video. Thank you for looking at this video. But on a serious note, we heard about more attacks, jihadist attacks, terrorists attacking the north, Borneo area again. So when are terrorist attacks going to go away? Militarization is not a solution. We've said it many times on this show. Bola Tinubu needs to come up with a better solution. Donald Trump gave the jihadists a Christmas present. Do you think the Christmas present deterred these jihadists? We don't think so. Even after Sokoto was struck, the jihadists are still striking. So Donald Trump did not really do us a favor. He has instead created an atmosphere of insecurity and chaos in Nigeria. Because a lot of Nigerians are talking about it. Where is Nigeria's sovereignty? If Nigeria is a democratic country, why is it that the issue was not even debated by the Nigerian people, their elected officials, before action was taken? Why did Bola Tinubu unilaterally, why did he decide to allow Donald Trump and the United States to strike his country? So it raises a lot of concerns of sovereignty and independence. And Nigerians are still raising these questions now because the jihadist activity is there. We've always said the best way to resolve this issue of jihadism is looking for not just the stick, look also for the carrot. Give these people an opportunity to do better. The disaffected youth in the north, you need to change their profession. Make them understand that crime doesn't pay. When crime pays, then they can recruit more people to join their gangs. We've said this on this show many times. Mr. Bola Tinubu, instead of struggling to run again for 2027, watch our show. We can give you a blueprint to resolve the issue of jihadism in Nigeria. Christians and Muslims must live together, okay? But we need to give opportunities to disaffected youth because they need these opportunities. Next, we take you to La République du Cameroon. There also, things are at a standstill. Paul Biya stole the election. Since then, he talked about forming a new cabinet, but people have been waiting for it since January 31st. Okay? Then even when he spoke on the eve of the new year, talking about new changes, new government, what has happened? People are still waiting for Godot. People are still waiting, nothing is happening. When is a new government going to be formed? Well, the paralysis is there. Biya is old. It looks like a lot of time he's struggling with his ill health. He does not even have the energy to do the work of the people. Yet, because the army is with him, he can do and undo. You cannot topple him. Issa Chiroma tried and failed. And that's what is happening. When you look at life in the north, things are not really back to normal. There's still those aftershocks of the October 12 elections. The north is really reeling off these aftershocks. Things are really tough. Now, the aftermath. What happened? People are analyzing. What about Chiroma? Well, Chiroma is still in Gambia. He's preparing to return to Cameroon. People have been suspecting that he's working on a deal with the government of Paul Biya. But he himself says, no, he's not working on any deal with the Paul Biya regime. So what are we going to believe? Well, things are still at like a stalemate. Nothing is really working. The economy is not moving. You look at Yaoundé, the capital city. You see those dust heaps everywhere. Every place is dirty. What about the mayors? They don't really have any time to clean the place up. So the environment reflects the character of the people. So that's really sad. Then next, we take you to the Central African Republic. In the Central African Republic, the story also focuses on Francois Bozizé. It looks like the International Criminal Court wants to ask him to face trial. How is this going to work? Well, we've seen what has happened to, say, the president of Chad, Hissène Habré. Are they going to bring him to justice? That's what a lot of people are hoping for. But is there going to be justice? We don't know, because in Central African Republic, there's still chaos. Even though Ashange Touadéra has faked a third win for a third term, the environment in Central African Republic is tenuous at best. Things are not easy. People are still complaining. The rebels and other forces, they're still fighting. The Wagner group still has the elements in the country. What is going to give? Well, Russia is still there with African Corps, which is the replacement of Wagner group. The French too want to get back into action because the Central African Republic used to be a French colony. So the French won't feel that this is their space. This is their backyard. They want to push Russia out of it, but things are not easy because Russia has really made a lot of inroads into that country. You can see signs of Russian incursion everywhere. So that's what we see. Then, of course, the countries of the Sahel. What about democracy? Well, there's the erosion of democracy completely, because this week in Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré finally banned all political parties. This sent aftershocks in the region. People have been complaining that, well, we thought he's going to return the country to democracy. So what do you think? Democracy, as we see it, has failed in Africa. Why does democracy succeed in Europe, in America, but fails in Africa? It's because in Africa, we have a system where the former colonial guys, they created nation states that are very weak, politically, socially, and economically. Then, like remote controls, these money mandarins play games, they install puppets who will dance to their tune, then they continue stealing the resources of African countries. This story is true in Nigeria, as it is true in Cameroon, as it is true in Burkina Faso. The only good thing Ibrahim Traoré has done in his country is that he has been able to push away these French looters so that they should not continue looting the treasury of Burkina Faso. And the social media is also giving Ibrahim Traoré a lot of praise for breaking away with the colonial French past. Okay? He's modeling his country after what Thomas Sankara did. He sees himself as the personification of Thomas Sankara. Because of this, a lot of people are behind him. But he also has his critics. When we listen to the news, we watch a lot of videos, there are people who support Ibrahim Traoré, and there are also people who don't support Ibrahim Traoré. So where do you stand? Do you think we should forget about democracy for now and build the country the way Ibrahim Traoré is telling his supporters? Or should we push Ibrahim Traoré aside and organize new elections? What do you think? In fact, the past few weeks, people have been focusing a lot of attention on Paul-Henri Damiba, the former military strongman of Burkina Faso. This is a guy who was overthrown by Ibrahim Traoré. There have been stories that he's trying to stage a coup d'etat. So Togo suddenly repatriated him to Burkina Faso to face justice. So what really happened? We don't really want to go into details, but as we can say, democracy has failed. Is Togo itself a democracy? If Togo were a democracy, they would not have extradited him, because Burkina Faso and Togo do not have an extradition treaty. So why was Paul-Henri Damiba repatriated to Burkina Faso to face justice? It's politics. The way we see it, it looks like foreign Nasingbe must have received a whole lot of money to sell this guy. Because African leaders don't have any moral scruples. They can sell you in a heartbeat. Same thing Paul Biya did in La République du Cameroon. He went to Muhammadu Buhari, sold the nearer 10 guys for a lot of money. And of course, why are you surprised? Paul Biya is Mr. Kane. You have people like this week, news surfaced about Engelbert Mveng, one of the guys who was in the seminary with Paul Biya. When Paul Biya arranged for the guy to be killed, people started looking at Paul Biya as Cain. Then they look at Engelbert Mveng as Abel. You remember the story in the Bible, Cain and Abel? I don't want to repeat it, but Cain killed his brother because of jealousy. Paul Biya killed Engelbert Mveng because of jealousy. And he tried to hide it, but the stories are coming out. It's coming out. The truth is coming out. What about Mali? Mali, we also see the action of jihadists. Assimi Goïta has really banned political parties. He doesn't want them to take part in any politics. He's thinking that sovereignty and nation building should be a priority. What do you think? Do you agree with Assimi Goïta, or do you think there should be a movement back to democracy? Tell us what you think, because on this show, we want to know what you're thinking. Then what about Niger? In Niger, we got news that there's been a big bomb at the Hamani Diori airport. It looks like some jihadists struck targets in the airport. We hear there was a lot of damage. So General Tuani is really blaming Benin. You know, Benin and Niger have really had a very, very tense relationship for the last 6 months. So the area where these guys are, the borders are very porous. So those jihadis move back and forth, back and forth. And of course, Benin is a puppet of France. You remember, France helped quell a coup that was taking place in Benin, right? France was active, Nigeria was active, Ivory Coast was active. So all these colonial puppets were the ones who helped Benin to squash the coup that was taking place. But this week, those jihadis struck the Ahmad Diori airport mercilessly. A lot of people were killed and a lot of property was damaged. So what do you think? So the whole Sahel region does not want democracy. Assimi Goïta does not want democracy. Ibrahim Traoré does not want democracy. General Twani does not want democracy. So what is going to obtain now in this part of Africa? So you tell us, is democracy a failure in Africa? Why is it failing? Those are some of the issues that we've been raising on this show, and we want you to go to the comments section. Tell us, why do you think democracy is failing? We've given you some reasons in the past, but we want you to tell us what you think. If you can tell us what you think, that will help us to have a better story. Then, of course, we're going to take you also to South Africa. South Africa is not part of the Sahel, but South Africa has its own problems. The problem in South Africa is the relationship between Israel and the Palestinians. South Africa has good ties with the Palestinian people from a very long time ago. When South Africa was struggling to free itself of apartheid, the Palestinians helped South Africa. So now they owe a debt to the Palestinians. But you know, Israel is supported by the United States. Even though Cyril Ramaphosa does not really have an issue with America, but because of his posture against Israel, America looks unkindly at Cyril Ramaphosa. He doesn't like the fact that Ramaphosa is against Israel. And Ramaphosa even accused Israel of genocide and took Israel to the International Criminal Court. This did not sit well with the United States. What do you think? So do you think Ramaphosa is doing the right thing by challenging Israel? Or do you think the United States is doing the right thing by supporting Israel? Tell us what you think, because this show is for you. We'd like to get your position. Because as we tell you, democracy is for sale. When you look at democracy in Africa, democracy is for sale because whoever pays the money, whoever pays the piper dictates the tune. So democracy cannot really exist in Africa. What we have is money. A friend of mine calls it corporatocracy, which means the corporate powers are the ones running Africa. They have money. Some of the multinationals, they are the ones running Africa. They have the money, so they use their money to buy politicians. So do you think democracy really exists in Africa? It doesn't. And why does it not exist in Africa? Because most of these politicians are sleeping on the same bed with the money guys. Can you imagine a big corporation like Apple gets to Africa? What's going to happen? They will buy all the politicians in Africa. Okay? And that's exactly what is happening in Congo DRC, where we're going to end our show today. There is a collapse of a mine in Rubaya towards the east of Congo DRC. Over 200 people were killed when this mine collapsed. We have the pictures to show you. We've talked about the mine in Rubaya many times on this show. There is tension. Whenever you have your cell phone, I myself, I use a cell phone. Sometimes I feel guilty I'm using a cell phone because the stuff that is in this cell phone, that's what is causing, okay, coltan. They need this coltan to manufacture devices. And these devices are used by people in the West. So the rebels, the M23 rebels in Congo DRC, they mine these minerals, then take them to Rwanda, then from Rwanda, they get into the international market. That's what has been happening for so many years. People ask, Rwanda is a country that has no natural resources. How can they be exporting coltan and other minerals, wood? All the products of Congo DRC are stolen by Rwanda and sold in the international market. Then the Congolese are left with nothing. When you look at the rebel activity, now they are occupying Goma and other North Kivu. What is happening? They are stealing all those resources. You see over 3,000 people working in artisanal mines. These mines don't belong to the government, but the government of Felix Tshisekedi is very weak. They don't control much of their territory anymore. The area in the east that is very rich is controlled by the M23. Colonel Nanga and his guys are doing good business over there. Then they are using the camouflage of ethnicity to complain. When you say these people are not Congolese, who are they? Is that why you're stealing their resources? So Paul Kagame is the kingpin, is the godfather sitting there and enjoying all these products. When you see the economy of Rwanda booming, then Congo DRC is in tatters. That's the problem. We even overheard a rumor that Joseph Kabila has been killed. He was having some meetings with the M23 around the Uvira area, and a bomb struck and killed him and many other guys. We've not been able to confirm that story, so we're not going to let it go out. But we're just letting you know that we heard it, so we need to confirm it. When we confirm it, we'll let you know. Soon we'll be able to have more information on the fate of Joseph Kabila. But we've told you democracy is failing in Africa. What do you think? What can you say? Go to the comment section and tell us what you think about democracy in Africa. Is democracy for sale? What can be done to rescue Africa from the clutches of the money mandarins of the West? What can be done? You tell us. If you have an answer, share the answer with us on this show. Thank you very much.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.